3 o'clock on this Tuesday afternoon. Welcome aboard the Postgame Show alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Sorry, just sharing a off-the-air joke with Terry.
I'm sure it's very appropriate for on-air.
Well, he just has things to go do, and I wished him all the best. Because he's got a long way to go.
Bid him adieu.
Got a long way to go. And a short time to get there.
Eastbound.
I was going to say, if you want me to keep doing Smokey and the Bandit stuff, we can do it, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's a fine film.
Great song.
It is. It is. Great movie. I love that movie. I love that movie. It's.
I've heard the music, have not seen the movie.
Oh. You know what? We're going to have to bring you up to old dude speed on some of these films. I think that I know there's at our sister station, Jocks FM. Mm-hmm. They've got a young lady who just started working with them. I forget her name. I apologize. I think she does like their midday show. And you're 28, 29?
29, yeah.
She's probably like 23, 24.
Oh, even younger.
And so they have her watching and I think the dudes she works with, one's probably around my age and then one maybe around 40, I'm not sure. And then her. And so they have her watching, and they're they'll choose. They have a Twitter poll. So we're going to have to do that for you, I think. But I'm mandating.
I'll start the list. I actually have
the list must start. Before we bring audience options and votes into the mix, I am going to, I'm not your boss. I realize that. All I have on you is seniority here. But I am going to mandate as best I can that you watch The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2.
That was going to be the first couple on the list.
Yeah,
as much as you quote those.
Yeah, that's a mandate. And then the film I quote most probably after that. Well, I don't know. I don't know where they rank, but is Fletch. You need to see Fletch. And then we'll go from there, because then we could really just. But Godfather 2, Fletch. Those are absolute musts. And then you know what? You'll be like, oh, I know Jay even better now. Now I get why he does that.
I will see some things in these movies and be like, I've heard that before.
Again, the other day we were talking about a buffer, having a buffer in between things, and I kept going, and you didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was like, yeah, a buffer? Oh yeah, the family has a lot of buffers, Senator, because it's a really quality line. It means almost nothing in and of itself. But I say it all the time. If I ever hear that word or anything that even is a synonym of buffer, I will immediately just go straight to a buffer. A buffer. The family has a lot of buffers, Senator. Or again, the gray area. I do Fletch. His boss asked him, how gray? Charcoal. That just comes right out, man. It's as much a part of me as brushing my teeth every day. Charcoal. It's just, you'll Fletch especially, you'll be like, man, I now know my co-host way better than I did before I saw this film.
We're off tomorrow, so I think tomorrow could be a film day.
Look at that!
I'll take all suggestions. Put them on the text line.
But if y'all got,
and if I've seen them, then I'll let you know I've seen them.
Sure, there you go.
We can mark it off the list.
I could go on and on like this. I knew I had heard it, but I had forgotten. But this morning I saw an interview with Eddie Murphy. There's going to be a Beverly Hills Cop 4, Netflix exclusive, comes out soon.
Huh?
I didn't really like 3 that much. Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2 are fantastic.
We'll put Beverly Hills Cop in general on the list.
1 and 2 are great. 3 was sort of a mid-'90s Eddie Murphy money grab after Eddie had become a gajillionaire, and he's like, I want to be a triple gajillionaire.
I want more money.
Yeah. So anyway,
our boy Craig on the YouTube on the YouTube comment says he's tried 3 times to watch The Godfather, still only halfway through. Long film.
Well, it is. I mean, if you want to break it up.
Yeah. Treat it like a mini series.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to watch it, 90 minutes at a time, I'll give you that. 2 hours at a time. And both of them are about 4 hours. They're both amazing. But if you want to break it, they have an intermission. I mean, I think in Godfather 2.
Like a built-in intermission.
Yeah, like in Godfather 2, I believe there is actually a built-in intermission. It's so long.
Oh, I love it.
I've never been to a movie where they have an intermission. Like I guess back in the day, a few of them did, but I think they probably realized people fell asleep or didn't want to go to that. I don't know. But Godfather 2 is worth. I mean, they're amazing. Godfather 3 is good. Again, if you get past, I'll just say, if you can get past Sofia Coppola's just wretched acting, because it was supposed to be Winona Ryder.
Oh, man.
And she was busy. And so Coppola, instead of getting like another quality Hollywood actress, said, I'll let my daughter do it.
Classic. Yeah.
And she's a good director now, but she
was never going to be an actress.
She's a terrible. I mean, for such an important role in that movie, she's bless her heart, she's really, really just not good. And it is an important role. She's not the star, but she's an important supporting role. I could do this.
I can look past bad acting.
Oh, I have. I've seen Godfather 3 now. I mean, I've seen it more than a half dozen times. I mean, the story is brilliant. The story is so good. So good. I don't want to sit here and talk about the story, but the story that they wrote for that movie is brilliant. It's a great story.
We have some really good suggestions here on the text line too. They're coming in.
Yeah, good. No, we need to do this. We'll catch you up. But I mean, like, Coming to America. You seen Coming to America?
It's been so long.
Okay.
That one I watched like probably way too young to be watching that.
Maybe,
but was very young. Don't remember a ton of details. So I'll put that on the list.
I mean, Coming to America. I can pretty much when the opening credits roll until the end credits roll, I can pretty much just sit there and recite the movie with the movie. Pretty much. That's how many times I've seen it.
That's one of those. I can do that with a few movies. With comedies, I can completely
I can
rewrite the screenplay.
Stripes. Have you seen Stripes? Caddyshack?
I have not seen Caddyshack.
Oh, my God. All right, you're doing, okay. Yeah, you have.
Put Caddyshack in.
You have homework. You have homework.
But got a day tomorrow. I can see how many of these I can crank out in a day.
All those comedies. I mean, Caddyshack, Stripes, Coming to America, those are all like, just under 2 hours. You'll be fine. Fletch is not that long.
We've gotten 3 different Caddyshack suggestions on the text line. So that's the most popular one.
One of the great things about Caddyshack is the scene with Bill Murray and Chevy Chase is completely improv. Some of the other things that Bill Murray did were basically most of what Bill Murray did in that movie is improv. And there's a few scenes that Chevy Chase did without him that are improv. Harold Ramis was just whatever, y'all go. Like, they would shoot scripted stuff, and then he would let them do improv stuff, and they kept all the improv. I love it. It's so great.
All the scripted stuff going out the window.
It's so great. But Caddyshack is amazing. All right, well, again, we could do this all day, but we do have some sports to get to throughout the course of the afternoon. Speaking of which, our very good friend John Whittle will be joining us bottom of the hour. We're going to talk baseball with John as we typically do. Today, I mentioned this on my tweet in promoting today's program, that we'll spend most of our time with John. We only get 12 to 15 minutes talking about what I called roster reconstruction. This is not a complete rebuild in terms of talent and ability and all those kind of things. You won 30-something games and you went to the tournament, but we'll talk with John. I think a lot of people especially are looking at a guy like P.J. Morlando from down in Somerville. And I looked it up today, and remember, slot values are only guidelines. They are not hard and fast rules. But the slot value for where he was most recently mocked in a mock draft was just under $3 million. Now, I'd been told that if, the offer to him was $2 million, that he's not going pro yet. So where's the line? 2.5, 3, and he's good.
Yeah, he's special.
Yeah, I mean,
Barry Bonds treatment in a lot of his high school games.
Yeah, which I hate. But the slot value, like 2.9. So again, that's just one mock draft. So how teams view him, how important it is to them to get him into their system now. All those things can be fluid, and different clubs have different amounts of money based on what they spent. It's a convoluted thing, but that's why we have John. John knows all this stuff.
Yes,
so
he's the expert.
So John will have more on that. There's a few other guys that are high school kids that have a real good chance to go. Probably not first rounders like Morlando, and there's no guarantee PJ Morlando is a first round pick. But there's some other guys that could certainly be top 5 rounds. So, again, what are they looking at in terms of asking, their big league club for a signing bonus relative to what they may do? And now that you can get paid in school, how much money does Carolina have to go towards something like that? Look, it isn't like Carolina. Like if PJ Morlando said, well, I'm not taking $2 million, but I'll take $3 million to the pros. Carolina can't give him $2 million. I don't know what Carolina.
I don't think the NIL budget is that expansive.
That might be the budget.
Yeah, it might be the entire budget. But you're paying the head coach. Not even that.
Oh yeah. I mean, so you're not paying any one dude like that. But at that point, they're going to understand that. And with this staff, listen, he was very out front about a guy like Monty Lee who helped recruit him. He clearly loves the Gamecocks. It's only just over an hour from home, so there's a lot.
Preston Thorns.
Yeah. There's a lot to like about staying at Carolina, especially with a championship coach coming in and a revamped feeling around the program. He could be viewed a lot like, and I'm not trying to put this on him in terms of what the team did, but, like a Justin Smoke, like a Christian Walker. Yeah, I mean, when Smoke and Walker came, I know Smoke was earlier, but I contend. I know he was surrounded by great players, but I don't think it's a complete coincidence that South Carolina played for the national championship in the 3 seasons Christian Walker was a Gamecock.
Nope.
That kid was a real deal, man.
And no coincidence he wanted the pros and become a really good contributor on a team that went to the World Series.
Yeah. So, but we'll talk with John about all of those things for you. Interesting stuff going on around college sports, as always. We got a cut on our list from Ross Dellinger, who was on Paul Feinbaum's program yesterday, about this latest bill in Congress. It's passed its committee, and it will go to the House floor for a vote. Now, again, at that point, it would have to go to the Senate. It's a bill that has been passed through committee strictly on party line, and that already concerns me. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a Republican House, so it's a GOP bill right now, basically, and. A lot of Democrats have already said, we're not going to support this particular bill with this language. Y'all left a lot of stuff out. And the Senate is going to say the same thing. Now, can the Senate alter it? What you've heard from collegiate leaders, be it Governor Baker, Greg Sankey, Tony Petitti, Jim Phillips, all of them, what we are really lobbying for is a bipartisan bill. They want a bill that if it were in the House, that would get like 400 votes.
Where no one's sweating it out. It's getting passed.
But that's what they want. That way they know the bases are covered. They don't want a bill that barely passes because it'll just get challenged. And by the way, I read a legal piece about this bill as it is currently written, and the attorney, without going into great detail, said, oh, this is getting challenged. There's no way this law can stand as currently written without a judicial challenge. So even then, you're just wasting time. Write a bipartisan bill. Again, I don't care who you vote for. I don't care what your politics are when it comes to most things in life. I understand the polarization of this country. You're talking to somebody who was a political science major and worked in politics. I get it, man. I get it as well as anyone. But if you say you're going to really help protect, I'm air quoting, college athletics, you better do it with a bill, again, that can get 400 votes in the House and like 90 votes in the Senate. Somebody's always going to vote no. That's okay.
Always a party pooper.
Yeah, but if you need overwhelming bipartisan support to feel great about this. And then, at that point, you won't get legal challenges. A few other headlines of the day. Update you on what's going on in Omaha. John Whittle in about 15 minutes. A busy Tuesday continues on the Postgame Show. 20 minutes after 3 o'clock on this Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back in. Postgame show rolling on. Jay and Elijah with you. John Whittle coming up in just a bit. We'll talk Carolina baseball. Gamecocks want to get back to Omaha. Right now, North Carolina is there along with Florida State. They're in an elimination game, all ACC affair. Noles lead the Heels 3-1. Florida State is the visitor today, so we're top four. FSU has one on, one out. Again, loser goes home tonight. Kentucky and Florida in a do-or-die game. A&M and Tennessee. Actually, I guess Tennessee awaits this winner.
Correct.
A&M awaits the nightcap winner. A&M with a gem last night from Ryan Prager. Took a no-hitter into the seventh.
Was dealing.
He was, and I loved it. Forgive me, I forget their pitching coach's name. But when he gave up the hit, it was it wasn't a super sharp single, but it was single to right. And there was a little break, and, you know it. You know what you're doing out there. If it's like the third inning, you don't think about it. But by the time you get into the seventh, you know you're tossing a no-hitter. And the coach comes out, and I guess about halfway to the mound, he just gets this big old grin on his face. And I can, without ever knowing the exact words, I imagine the conversation was something to the effect of, that was pretty bleeping cool, wasn't it? And like really letting him enjoy the moment for just a second. Mm-hmm. And then, it was a little settling down, and then some discussion of like, all right, well, that was fun. That was cool. But now we got a guy on, and we only got one out, and we need to figure this thing out. Another guy did get on. Then they pulled Prager, and the kid that came in shut him down real quick with a strikeout, and on they went. Kentucky did ultimately get a run late in the game, but it didn't matter by then. 5-1 final last night. But it was you could just tell the pitching coach was. That was basically, I'm sure that was the first half of the conversation. Like, hey, that was fun, wasn't it?
Was letting him live it a little bit.
Like, that was cool, man. You took a no-hitter, into the seventh inning of the College World Series. Way to go, bud. Way to go. Like, that was all right.
And they had a comfortable enough lead to where they could do that.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a 1-0 game.
And they didn't pull him right there, but he was running out of steam. Mm-hmm. You could tell.
Velocity was going down.
And they even mentioned right there that I think the previous high he had, and he didn't get up to it, was 105 pitches here in Columbia when they played. So, or did Carolina go there? Now I can't remember. A&M. They come here?
They came here.
They came here
and took 2 or 3.
Yeah. I knew it was 2 or 3, but yeah, they came here. But when he pitched here, he threw like 100 and something pitches. They said that was his longest outing of the season. I think last night he got into the 90s pitch count. But anyway, so I don't want to know. I don't know. For either of the teams that are going to come out of the losers bracket, they're going to have a really tough time, in my opinion. Now, it's doable, but it's rare. Again, South Carolina pulled off one of the rare times when the team in the losers bracket wins the College World Series. 2010, and to do it against Clemson, makes 2010 that much more special for Carolina fans. It was also the welcome to the world Michael Roth week. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be tough. A&M can hit and pitch. Tennessee can really hit and pitch. I think A&M pitches better. I think you were kind of keen on A&M winning this championship mm-hmm. from the get-go. Again, I had North Carolina, who is, well, at least they won one game.
They are staring down the barrel of an elimination. But of being the third team.
One of the things that you got to do is you got to find, a Michael Roth if you're going to come out of the losers bracket. You've got to find a pitching hero, whether he's somebody that you could really count on or not. You've got to find that guy, and you've got to hit. You've got to find a way to hit against a more rested opponent. Again, it's doable, but it's hard. And then tonight, I don't know. I think Florida's going to win, man.
Really?
I just
don't know what else they have in the tank in terms of arms, because they're so top heavy when it comes to
That's
that.
true.
They were very top heavy with the pitching.
But
today is going to be a piecing it together type day for them.
They're just also, I don't know, they're just so prepared for this environment. You know, there again, you know, that South Carolina team of 2010, none of the Ray had been there, and Chad had been there as an assistant, but none of those players had been there. So it can go both ways. But for these Florida players, most of them have been in this position. You know, at least you know, they played for a title last year. So
no stranger to it.
Right. So that's I think that helps. How much? I don't know.
Certainly. No, I think it certainly helps.
You know, and they're 3 hours more rested than Kentucky. It's got to count for something.
And I think maybe Jack Caglione's health is going to be a big factor in it too. I know he was rubbing his elbow a little bit in the dugout after his velocity was going down, and they pulled him.
Well, you know, if he pitches again, it'll be when they're playing for a championship. I don't see any way that he certainly won't pitch today, or I wouldn't think he would pitch tomorrow or potentially Thursday.
Just don't know how much that affects his bat.
That's a fair point. Yeah, I mean, you know, listen, man, seriously, some Aleve and a cortisone shot, and just have at it, kid.
They have access to that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's the legal stuff. Anything beyond that, I'm not here for that. But you know, cortisone shots are fine, and you know, pop 2 Aleve. Maybe 1 Aleve and 1 Tylenol. You know, have things work. You know, both ways.
Yeah.
So there's
that's usually pretty effective.
Yeah. Real quick, by the way, here I should have saved this for the headline, but you know, it's just so big. I want to do it now. I'm kidding. Jake Paul has announced that he will fight Platinum Mike Perry in the 8-rounder in July, since Mike Tyson had to bail for I don't know why.
Platinum Mike Perry. We'd love to see this guy fight Mike Tyson. Sorry, best we can do is Platinum Mike Perry.
Mike Perry, 8-round cruiserweight bout at the Amalie Arena in Tampa in July. It's almost as good as Mike Tyson at Jerry World.
The best we can do is Platinum Mike Perry at Amalie Arena.
I don't know if this is still going to be on Netflix. No, it will be on DAZN pay-per-view. There you go. DAZN.
Close.
Yeah.
Close. Similar platform. Very close.
I would rather watch and bet on the NFL Hall of Fame game than do a pay-per-view. I would take half the money that it would cost for the DAZN pay-per-view of Jake Paul and Platinum Mike Perry. Because, again, I always ask, who bets on the Hall of Fame game? But degenerate gamblers will bet on the Hall of Fame game because, you know, they got nothing else to do. I would rather do that than spend money on a pay-per-view for that.
Oh, man.
They should pay me to watch.
Actually, if you bet on that fight, the I guess gambling hotline number calls you.
Yes.
You don't call it. It actually calls you. It traces your phone number and it says, we got a report that you bet on Platinum Mike Perry and Jake Paul. We need to make sure you're okay. This is a welfare check.
Over under 30 seconds of my interest level. I'll bet on that.
Well, that's a hard under.
John Whittle on the other side of the break. What might the Gamecock baseball roster look like in a month or so? We'll talk to John about that and more as the postgame show continues. Homeowners, let me tell you, if you've been in your neighborhood a while, you and the family love where you live, love the schools, it's close to church, close to your favorite grocery store, and, you know, like maybe the grandparents. But you're like, but this house needs to be updated. I got some good news for you. You can save money, get it all fixed up, and do it when you need it. Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union's home equity line of credit can be accessed over a 10-year draw period. So do the kitchen now. You know, fix up the kids' playroom when they get a little bit bigger, or that room for you to, you know, separate yourself from the kids when they're getting all rambunctious. If you're, you know, been in your home for a while, put the equity to work. And when you do it with Palmetto Citizens, you'll pay lower closing costs and application fees than you will with the big banks. Save money and then do it when you need it. Check it out online, palmettocitizens.org, or stop into any of their 14 convenient Midlands locations. My wife and I are customers. Palmetto Citizens, achieve your potential. Time to talk some Carolina baseball with our very good friend and one of our favorite people. He is the great John Whittle on the beat for thebigspur.com. You can follow him on Twitter if you don't already, John M. Whittle. Happy the season is over. Happy coaching search is over. But I don't think that means your summer of baseball busyness is over, does it?
No, it doesn't, but it's a little bit quieter. It allows me to read a post on Message Board Geniuses right now that from a LSU poster who says, is there any way we can figure out a way to get Mike the Tiger in the stadium again? I don't think he'll eat anybody. How do we get this done? That's why I'm laughing as we come on to the air.
That's a good roll of the dice, you know.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
It's worth the risk.
Live animals that eat meat in a place full of people while he's got anxiety issues is the perfect way to have a football game.
Hey, the Flint Tropics had Dewey the Bear, and it went perfectly.
Yeah, sure.
Well, just run it out like they do the buffalo in Colorado.
Right. Yeah, with a big steak in front of it. Just see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. We better not do that because then we'll waste all of our time with John, and we could. We could continue doing this.
Because I've got endless ideas.
Yes, we could continue doing this, I assure you, which is why we need to move on quickly. Just speaking of quickly, your thoughts. We talked to you last week, right around the time of the hire, but not since the Pulmonary official announcement. But how you thought it went, with the assistants and how ready they are, John, to hit the ground running.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an awesome hire. I think he's got a great staff coming in. John Henry's young guy, sharp, really bright. I think it'll be a really good blend of staff with Monty knowing the state so well, Terry Rooney being an incredible recruiter. I thumbs up on the staff for sure. Paul Maneri will get back into town. I guess it was almost exactly a week ago, 4:00 last Tuesday, when his contract was approved, and he's been in town for about 24 hours or so since then. But he'll be back in town tonight for a while, and I think he's going to meet with a few players and get ready to rock and roll. So I know that Terry and Monty are out on the road recruiting as we speak. Monty's headed out to California, and Terry up to Cape Cod, and they're getting this show going.
Speaking of South Carolina and Monty Lee, I know P.J. Morlando was one of many players, whether they were signees or current roster guys, who threw their support behind Monty, and many have since obviously circled around in support of Coach Maneri. But let's start with P.J. Morlando. I did see that he was mocked in the first round of Perfect Games MLB draft. Again, just a mock draft, John, as you know, but I know you know this kid. The slot value, which again is written in pencil, was around $2.9 million. So take us into where you believe P.J. Morlando and his family are right now with some big decisions looming.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I don't know exactly what his signing bonus number is. That's not something that's really ever publicly discussed, even if I know it. But I don't know what it is. What I do know is that they feel really good about Monty Lee and Paul Maneri. And, if there were any questions, they might set a number and potentially back off of it, or set a lower number and it may be flexible. But they feel so good about Paul Maneri and Monty Lee especially that I know that they're going to set a high number. I know that they're going to stick to it. And if they don't get it, then, PJ will come to school for 2 years. There's several things that work in South Carolina's favor, and one of them is that he's an older guy, so he'll be 21 in 2 years, so he doesn't have to be a 3-year college guy. He can be a 2-year college guy and be draft eligible then. So, there are a lot of factors that play into it. Obviously, the financial aspect is going to be the biggest part of it, but that's kind of where things are right now. There's about a month until draft gets here, and some things are still being sorted out. As we know, they got the draft combine out there in Arizona right now, and so there's some moving and shaking happening as we speak.
John, at Paul's press conference the other day, you noticed a lot of really good current player turnout, with one of those players being Cole Messina. But what do you think the outlook is, maybe on terms of who's on the roster right now and what type of retention you think South Carolina is going to have now that Paul's been introduced and the staff is kind of set in place?
Yeah, I think roster retention is going to be good. I haven't heard of anybody who played a significant role this past season who's going to enter the portal. I do think there are probably a few pitchers who haven't gone in yet that probably will. One went in today, Drake Quinn, didn't pitch much last year, but there are a few older guys who weren't able to carve out much of a role this past season who are probably going to try their hand at a different place. But yeah, I do think that everybody's pretty settled in terms of being comfortable with the staff. You never know until that portal actually closes. There's plenty of time between now and July 2nd when the portal actually shuts. So we'll kind of see. But there's nothing that I'm really monitoring right now.
John, we did, I don't know if it's been officially announced by the school as of yet, but we did see news this week that Dalton Mashore will transfer into South Carolina from St. Mary's out west, a kid who hit a pretty good number of home runs last year and is a good center fielder. What more do you know about him, and do you see him slotting straight in as the everyday guy?
I love this kid because he has no social media anywhere. Like, how hard is that for guys nowadays, for college students nowadays, to no Instagram, no Twitter, no nothing like that. Just rocking and rolling as he goes about his day. But that's one of the first things I noticed about him. But I got to chat with him a little bit earlier this week. He's got a little bit of a relationship with Monty. I guess his dad has a relationship with Monty and some people he knows through his dad who played a few years in the big leagues, Damon Mayshore. So there's a lot of trust there. He visited South Carolina and Miami, and Miami's throwing around a lot of dollars this offseason, by the way. And he ended up deciding he wanted to be at South Carolina to play in the best baseball conference there is in the country. But he's very dynamic as an athlete, can hit for some power, can steal some bases. Really a good pickup, and really what you're looking for in a center fielder. He can really play defense, but he can also produce some for you as well.
How aggressive? I know we talked about Mayshore coming in right now, but how aggressive do you think this Gamecock team is going to be in the transfer portal this year, especially if they are going to retain a lot of that talent? And exactly maybe what names have you may have heard that they might be interested in right now?
They're not really going to be that aggressive in terms of quantity. They've got some JUCOs here lately. They got a kid named Caden Gaskin who's going to come in, and he's versatile, but he probably slots in at second base for South Carolina. He played in the outfield some. He played a little bit of shortstop at one point in his career, but he's a second baseman for South Carolina. High on base percentage guy. High batting average, tons of stolen bases, a little bit of power, but mainly a speed and average guy. So you got him coming out of the JUCO ranks, and they've got a first baseman from the JUCO rank committed as well. And I talked to him earlier this morning, and he said, I don't want to be publicized yet. I want to be sure I can get into school first and be sure everything's ready to go. I don't want my name out there, so I'll respect that for him. But a left-handed hitter, a little bit of power, but low strikeout, high batting average, really good defensively. It'll be a nice piece for South Carolina to have for sure. So all of that being said, there's not a whole lot of work to be done from the transfer portal. I think they're going to get two guys on the left side of the infield, somebody who can play short, somebody who can play third, and let them kind of battle it out with the guys who are returning. And they'll probably take one or maybe two more hitters, regardless of position, just find the best bat that they can and rock with it. I think you're going to see Thomas McCoy catching some this coming season, spending a lot of time behind the plate. Wouldn't surprise me a bit if they got a catcher from the portal, especially a defensive guy if they can find the right one out there. But I think they might add about 3 or 4 guys. I would be 4, and kind of go from there with a couple of them being left side of the infield players, and maybe one more pitcher, maybe 2 at the absolute most. But they don't really see a whole lot of need from a pitching standpoint.
John, real quick, I got less than a minute, so I'll be fast, and you don't have to go over these guys, but I know Carson Messina, Dalton Wentz, Bo Hollins are Gamecock signees that have also been invited to the Combine. We talked about Morlando, but with those 3, Messina, Wentz, Hollins, what do you feel like their prospects are of coming to school?
Well, Dalton has asked out of his NLI, so he's not coming to South Carolina anymore. So he's out. I think he's probably going to end up signing with Virginia or going to play pro ball. But with Carson and Bo, I think South Carolina would have a better chance of landing Bo Hollins. He'll be right there in the thick of the competition there at first base. I think he's got a chance to be the opening day starter at first base. But, he's obviously got some bloodlines and some professional pedigree. Both of those guys are very much draft risks.
Yeah. Good stuff as always, sir. We appreciate it. Know you'll be busy. We'll check in soon.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys. Always enjoy being here.
That is John M. Whittle on Twitter, bigspur.com. He is our good friend, John Whittle. The postgame show rolls on. The 11 minutes in front of 4 o'clock on this, what is today? Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back into the postgame show.
Do I look like a calendar to you?
Now, Terry just came in again. We're off tomorrow, and I think I had heard a hint of that like a couple of weeks ago, but Bill Gunner and I today did our Gamecocks Plus TV show, The Cocktail Hour, which we have a good time with. Check it out on Gamecocks Plus.
Nice plug.
which you get if you're a Gamecock Club member. You can just sign up for it. That's it. Yeah, or you can subscribe to it without being a Gamecock Club member if you so choose.
But sometimes the bundle is the more economic.
I would. I mean, a lot of you listening are Gamecock Club members. I would take advantage of what they offer you. There's so much good. Dakota and his team. I'm serious for a minute. Forget about what Bill and I are doing. Yeah, we're just radio schlubs, just yucking it up every week for a half hour or so. But Dakota and them, they get so many one-on-ones with coaches and players. They get so many behind-the-scenes, like exclusive access things because it's run through the athletics department, so they get stuff that the rest of us just don't get. It's a lot of fun. But Terry just poked his head in. He had already told me once. Now but Bill told me this morning. I think we're off. We're off tomorrow. I was like, oh. And so now Terry has reminded me like 3 times that we're off.
Just to make sure that you don't end up coming into the building.
Here's the thing.
Or do. It'd be funny.
I'm going to get up tomorrow at usual time. I get up a little before 7 every day. Don't ask me why without as many kids, especially in the summer. I just do.
That's probably, decades.
I just like to live my life and, in the daytime. I'm not a vampire. And
I'm the opposite.
And then it'll take me about 30 minutes to realize I don't have to work tomorrow. And then I think Thursday, unless something changes, you and I are going to be at the Old Mill Brew Pub. So that'll be fun. Grab a beer and a burger. Man, I tell you, last time I was out there, I had their fried green tomato BLT. Oh, my God. And
now you're speaking my language.
Well, the thing is, the nice lady that was taking care of us, we're on the air, right? Like, I can't eat. Like Ford just wolfed his down. I don't know, he got a burger or something, but he just wolfed his down in seconds. I'm like, dang, Terry, I can't do that while I'm on the air. And so she came out 30 minutes later, and I'd only eaten half my sandwich, and she had this look of concern. Is it not what I was like, oh no, it's delicious. I just can't, because she was comparing me to Ford.
See, man, what you don't understand is Terry here is a Hoover vacuum.
I mean,
will just.
I don't know how he did it. I was like, dude, how did you eat that thing in 3 minutes? That's a big burger.
Can't be good for you.
Yeah, he seems fine. But anyway, we'll be at the Old Mill Brew Pub in beautiful Lexington, South Carolina.
Can't wait.
Thursday. So come say hey. Hey.
More brews.
Do that for us. Florida State has blown it open against North Carolina. The Seminoles, in a do-or-die game at the College World Series, now lead the Heels 7-1. Ooh. 7-1. Noles are the visitor today. It's only the top of the 5th, so maybe there's a little bit of good news for Coach Forbes and his team. You still got a chance. There's still a chance. But the Noles have 2 on, 2 out, top 5, up 6. Winner gets Tennessee tomorrow afternoon.
Has 2 cracks at him.
And then you got to beat them twice. That's not going to be easy.
But I will say, if there's any team in this tournament that can, I think Florida State.
They can score runs, man.
Has that potential.
And I think they're smarting from the other night. So if they get another shot at them, I think they'd like that as motivation.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly wouldn't be as stunned if Florida State ended up making their way to the final. But, like I said, wouldn't be easy. I just wouldn't be, I guess, floored by it.
North Carolina pitching change pays off. They get out of the inning, but again, Chapel Hill with a lot of work to do. Still got 15 outs to play with, so I mean, you got time. You got time.
Certainly, it's not over yet.
I've seen crazy things happen at the College World Series.
If Chris Daughtry taught you anything in the summer of 2006, it's that it's not over.
I'm really, as John said, we're talking to John Whittle a few minutes ago about P.J. Morlando. That's the big prize in the recruiting class, obviously, if you can keep him. I mean, somebody like Carson Messina is a really good player. Bo Holland's a really good player. As John said, likes the opportunity for Bo Hollands to come in and potentially be the everyday first baseman from the get-go. That's impressive. And we'll see about a kid, Brandon Clark, who's a JUCO transfer. He's also been invited. Has Brandon Clark. I didn't get to him to the draft combine. So you've got a lot of big names up there. But Morlando, again, is the big one. And as I said, the mock draft had him going to the Diamondbacks, really, and I think the first pick of the supplemental round. And that slot value is $2.9 million. Now, again, that's not what a team has to pay a guy. It's not etched in stone. It's written in very fine pencil. But that's a lot of money. But I do wonder what the Orlando family's number is that keeps him in school relative to getting into the pro system now.
I will say I've seen a lot of mocks that don't have him, even in the top 50.
Yeah.
It's because of the emergence of a lot of college players.
Yeah.
So
if that's the case, you got to feel even better perhaps about him coming to school. Hour 2 coming up.
there's a chance.
4 o'clock Tuesday. Welcome back in. Second hour of the Postgame Show coming at you from the Herndon Chevy Studios, downtown Columbia, South Carolina, alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Appreciate you being with us. Thanks again to John Whittle for joining us, talking some Carolina baseball roster reconstruction. I don't. Is there a better word? There probably is.
Roster enhancements.
Okay.
Because it sounds like there's not a lot of reconstructing.
Yeah,
being
roster
done.
reconstruction again sounds like we said, a team that went like 12-44
and had a mass exodus of players.
Yeah, and that's not the case.
But you're retaining a lot.
You are, and you hope to be able to grab a few really important high school kids. As John said, maybe not super active in the transfer portal, but when you find something. But John telling us that Coach Terry Rooney is headed up to the Cape to begin doing some recruiting at the Cape Cod League. Monty is heading out west to do the same thing for some of the leagues out west. So
that's honestly one of my favorite things about those leagues. And I love the Summer Wood Bat League. And if you are a listener and you love baseball, especially college baseball, Lexington County Blowfish games are a lot of fun just because you get to see a lot of players that are going to be in the portal. And that's one of the reasons why they do those leagues, not just to develop, but to play in front of college scouts and everything. And the way college recruiting is now, with, a less emphasis on recruiting high school players and a larger emphasis on portal players, that's where a lot of players' stock starts to really rise. And that's probably one of my favorite things about these leagues now is you have players that are in the portal. You have pretty good access to see exactly how well they, hit against college pitching and how good pitchers are against certain hitters that maybe they don't get to see during the season. There's a lot of value in those leagues.
Like I say, I think too, you look at a guy like PJ Morlando, draft is a couple of weeks away, and that's the big one. What's the number? Again, if he slides, even if he slides out of the first round, where, again, some mock drafts have him and others do not, as you pointed out, Elijah, it doesn't prevent a club from paying him first-round money. Again, they get each club every year gets X. Basically, the rule is you use it as you see fit, but once you've used it, it's gone. If you want to give your whole bonus to one guy, have at it.
And that guy can still choose not to go.
Yeah. Although I think with some of these numbers, they would. We have also today, we started off talking about a couple of things, and then got into movies. How did we get into the movie discussion today? I forget now.
Because we have an off day tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And we're like, well, what are you going to do? And I'm like, well, you know what? I can catch up on some of the classic movie recommendations that I have put off.
So we're asking for some of those. Now, yes. I have basically, again, I can't do this to Elijah. I'm not his boss. I'm a coworker. But being older than him, I can apply, some type of pressure, seniority pressure. So I have all but mandated that Elijah watch Godfather 1 and 2. That he needs to watch those films. And then
I've always wanted to.
I've also basically in the same type of mandated way said he needs to watch Fletch. Now, beyond that, then we're taking recommendations.
Yes, absolutely. Everything else is going
but you have to, and I told Elijah to, you watch those 3 films, not that I'm a mobster, despite what one listener about 10 years ago thought.
That would be a hell of a front. You would have really fooled a lot of people. That would be really impressive.
I don't know who this guy was, right? But I'm going to tell this story real quick. Because Michael Haney was still here. So, and Michael's been gone nearly 10 years now, 9 years. 9 years this summer, Michael's been gone. So one day, I know we were in this building.
Okay.
So it was around 10 years ago. Michael and I, on some random day, got to talking about The Godfather, which is a film that, tens of millions of people have seen. Mm-hmm. And that's a conservative estimate, right? I mean,
Best Picture winner, right? I mean, that was,
both of them.
Yeah.
1 and 2. 3 did not. But again, 1 and 2 both won Best Picture Oscar.
It's really impressive.
And we're talking about it, right? On the air, live like this. And some dude again, some dude doesn't call into the show, right? Calls our like main reception desk, like our main, like all 5 station, office number.
Huh.
And like lets our receptionist have it, saying that we were like glorifying the mafia and crime, and we're talking about The Godfather. We're talking
About a movie
that won the Best Picture. To reiterate that, which is always a nice thing to just
It's not just any movie that some schmuck made.
Yeah, I mean, people like this movie. People respect this movie. And this is when we were doing, I guess, 12 to 3 or 1 to 4. And so at the end of the day, we would always go back upstairs, and there's sweet Miss Gracie saying, what were y'all, like, what happened on your show today or something? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, this guy called and said y'all. and basically, Michael and I were furious at this guy. I was like, dude, for one thing, I'll be careful here. I was getting ready to say something I probably shouldn't say, even though it's not X-rated. But, like, man up and call the show. Like, you got something to say to the dudes that are saying it. Say it to the dudes. Don't call and bless out a receptionist who is the sweetest lady on planet Earth. I miss Miss Gracie. She was phenomenal. She didn't deserve any of that. So anyway, that was a long time ago. But I told Elijah earlier, if I were a method actor and I needed to channel like an anger moment for a scene, like I would just stop and think about how angry we were at that guy that day for being a coward.
Use that memory.
Yeah. But anyway, that being said, I feel better now. I feel better. That was cathartic.
Mobster glorification accusation.
Yes, exactly. Yes. I love the mob. Go organized crime. But anyway, so you need to see those, and you need to see Fletch. And you will then learn a lot more about me because of how often I reference those films. There's others that I reference. I mean, Caddyshack, when you see Caddyshack finally, like things like you'll get nothing and like it. Or, oh, my arm, it's broken. Like when you'll understand where those things come. Like I have a buddy who hates Caddyshack, and I quote it all the time. And when I quote it to him relative to other friends, I like get mad at him. I'm like, God, you hate Caddyshack. He's like, I do. I don't know why. He can't give me a reason why. He doesn't like golf.
Well,
I was like, dude, okay, but it's not a.
I don't think it's liking golf's a prerequisite because it's a comedy.
Yeah, and I mean it's not really a golf movie. I mean Happy Gilmore's way more golfish than Caddyshack. Yes, it's built around a golf course, but
the humor isn't necessarily golf related. Don't need to know it. You know.
But there you go. So we got some suggestions. I want to hear some. I haven't seen the text line yet. 803-404-6100 Firehouse Subs text line. If you'd like to give Elijah some summertime / off day classic film suggestions.
So we got a couple Young Frankensteins in here. Have seen it. Okay. So I appreciate the suggestion because it is a really good one.
Any Mel Brooks movie?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm well versed in Mel Brooks. I've seen Spaceballs and Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein. Big Gene Wilder guy. I love
you seen
Gene
The Producers?
Wilder. I actually have not seen The Producers. No. So I'm not well enough versed. Is what you're saying. So we'll put down The Producers.
So good, man.
We got one from Joey. It says he gave me 3. He said Tron, The Last Starfighter, and Buckaroo Banzai.
Buckaroo Banzai was pretty good.
I remember any of those.
I remember the Tron. Look, Disney's made a ride about Tron, but it's like a reboot of Tron from a few years ago.
I haven't even seen the reboot. I remember when it was made, but I actually have not seen or taken the time to see it.
I remember seeing original Tron in the theater, and Disney was really hoping it was going to be something that could match the popularity of Star Wars, and it did not. It's not bad.
Nice try.
But it wasn't Star Wars, man. It wasn't even close.
Ooh, we got one, True Romance. It's Tarantino. They say Tarantino's first film. I thought his first film was Reservoir Dogs. But if it is a Tarantino, that would be a Tarantino movie that I have not seen. I do love Tarantino.
I have seen that. Yeah, I've seen that.
I'm a big Tarantino guy. So you know what? Thank you. Nameless texture.
That's a fun romance. That's a fun one.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good. A couple that say one says definitely Fletch, so it's on the list.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes.
Curtis says Naked Gun. I have not seen that one. Naked Gun and Airplane. I've seen Airplane. which I think, some of that humor still carries to this day.
Oh,
like that still makes me laugh. I've seen Airplane a few times, and it still makes me laugh every time I see it, even though I was born like 20 years after it was made.
All the Naked Gun movies are just, I mean, Naked Gun, man, like there are moments when you have to like really make sure you're breathing. You're laughing.
Yes,
you're laughing. You're laughing so hard. You have to make sure you're breathing. So yes, absolutely.
I'm sold.
And the Police Squad TV show was actually that's what was done first.
Uh-huh.
It was like a summertime fill-in series, like 6 episodes only or something like that. Also brilliantly funny. So okay,
that's good. Oh brother, where art thou? I have seen that one.
No,
that's a classic. That's one of my dad's favorites. Watch that one.
And that might be. It's hard to say top 10er, but that might be a top 10 soundtrack film.
Yes, certainly. Man of Constant Sorrow is a banger.
That's a fine soundtrack. Up there with like, Big Chill and Forrest Gump and some of those. All right. Go, y'all keep bringing them in. Do I have time? Yeah, I got time real quick. Let's get to Rick real quick. He's got one on the phone line, 803-404-6100. Hey, Rick.
Hey, guys, and that's actually Frankenstein.
Yes, Frankenstein. Well played.
Very well played.
It's like your first date, your first prom. You have got to watch Fletch. It's like a step over to manhood. If you haven't watched Fletch, then you can't say that you're a true male adult.
Well, I told him, Rick. Yeah, thank you. I don't know that I would have couched it that way, but I don't disagree.
That's my rite of passage.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And that's why I told Elijah, especially, look, Godfather films are one thing, but you will, man, when you see Fletch, I don't know how much, I don't want to hype it up so much that I don't know what, you know what I'm saying? Like, we got to be careful.
I think you understand my sense of humor enough. I think I can trust you if you think I would like it.
It's so funny, and it's got such a great story. But you will from what Rick just said there. Like that's why I told you earlier, you will learn a lot more. I don't want to make this about me to you as co-hosts with each other, but you will go like, yeah, like the other day, y'all. I'll give you an example, and this doesn't give too much away, but. I told Elijah I might be a couple of minutes late. I said I should be on time, and then I paused and I said, unless my car hits a water buffalo. And Elijah goes, "Oh, that would be bad." I was like, "That's a Fletch line, sorry," because
it would also do some damage.
Yeah, so then I was like, "You got to see Fletch." Just little things like that. Again, I'll just pull things out of the air like that. I've seen. I don't know how many times I've seen Fletch, man. I don't know. And I want to. And people go like, "Well, you like 10 or 12?" Like, no, like 100. Like I don't know.
It's like people that say they've gone to a Dave Matthews Band concert. You haven't just gone to one. You've probably been to 60.
Well, when people say like that's a kind of Fletch is kind of like fish shows for me. Yes.
Yeah.
Like people say, how many fish shows you been to? I don't know. 75 or 80. I don't know.
Lost count.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot. Like a lot. I've seen Fletch a lot. My buddy Michael and I used to put Fletch on twice a week for a while growing up, when it came out on VHS. And like as soon as DVDs came out, I promise you Fletch was one of the first 5 DVDs I bought.
Okay.
I mean, like Star Wars, like Michael Keaton Batman and Fletch are probably the first ones I bought.
Michael Keaton Batman.
I love Michael Keaton Batman.
That's a really good one. Jack Nicholson Joker.
Both yes. Yeah. And I like the second one too.
Danny DeVito Penguin?
Yeah.
Certainly.
That's great. I love those 2 movies. All right. If y'all got some more, hit us up. Come back on the other side of the break. What did I want to get into? Oh, the Under Armour deal. Under Armour has re-upped with the University of Maryland. What implications might it have on South Carolina or Under Armour's other schools or just deals like this in general? I want to give you some details when the postgame show continues. Welcome back to the Postgame Show on this Tuesday. Jay and Elijah with you. Appreciate you being with us. North Carolina making a comeback, 7-5 now. They were down 7-1 going to the bottom of the fifth. They have scored 4 times. They have chased a Florida State pitcher. So making their way back into it. Again, this is a do-or-die game. Winner gets Tennessee tomorrow. Loser is headed home.
We just about buried them whenever it did get to 7-1.
Yeah.
I know I was about to.
Yeah, but long way to go. So I said they were playing with 15 outs. So we'll see what happens. Before we get back into a couple other stories, Mike holding on through the break. He's up next. Hey, Mike.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Doing well, bud.
All right, well, I comment about the draft first, but before I get into that, Elijah, absolutely correct. Dave Matthews Band is not somebody you just have seen once. I can speak from experience.
Yeah.
How many shows have you been to?
Anyway, somewhere between 15 to 20.
There you go.
Okay. See,
Good.
yeah, no one just goes once. If you like Dave Matthews Band, you've gone to a few of his shows.
Yeah.
There you go, yeah. All right, anyway, I called about the draft. I know we always think of the high-end draft picks, whether they go or stay. But, I want to discuss somebody from last year from South Carolina, Cade Austin. He got drafted in the 19th round last year and got an extremely high amount of money, $150,000 for the lot that he was in. So, we shouldn't just consider the higher draft picks necessarily, but even some of the guys we have right now that maybe might decide to go, like guys that like Matthew Becker, Chris Veach, some of those guys.
That's a great point, man, and I'm anxious to see. Anxious is probably the wrong word. Curious maybe is the better word,
Curiosity.
but where these guys get picked, and what's interesting too, Mike, in today's world is how the players can negotiate with the school. It used to just be, look, I don't want to sound too naive here, but it used to just be, well, if I don't like my signing bonus offer, I can go back to them and say, you want to bring it up a little bit? And if they say no, the big league club says no. All right, well, I'm going to school for 3 years. Now, again, I'm not naive, so I'm not going to say that they did it out of the goodness of their heart at any school USA. Y'all get it.
Their options are open financially.
Now you can do all that stuff, again, above board, on the table, whatever a term you want to apply to it. And you don't want to haggle too much with your school. And your school, even Texas A&M, all right, isn't going to have the money that the Los Angeles Dodgers or Chicago Cubs or even the Tampa Bay Rays or Minnesota Twins have, because they're not a major league ball club. But A&M might be able to go, well, we'll give you this, or we'll give, so that's kind of curious. And for a guy like Veach, who's been banged up, for a guy like Becker, who's kind of a college tweener as well, I don't know if it's as much about the money, Mike, as it might be, do I just need to go play pro ball? Do I just need to go see what's up? I mean, you're giving up college at that point, obviously, in terms of playing. But like Becker, I would think he's going to have an interesting choice when he gets drafted. Because what is he? He's never really I feel like he settled more into a bullpen role. But he's got stuff and stamina where he could be turned into a starter. Like, he's an interesting case study to me in terms of what that might look like. Or what are his conversations like with Terry Rooney and Paul Maneri now? Like, hey, no, you're going to be, we like you as a starter. We've seen your film. Or you sit down with Terry Rooney, let's see what you're, so Mike brings up a good point, and thanks for the phone call, bud. Mm-hmm. He's right. I mean, those guys, and yeah, listen, $100,000 is some money. It's not going to change your life forever, not in today's economic climate. I mean, the economy's doing well, but $100,000 is just, we talked about inflation a lot, haven't we?
Yes, comparatively.
Yeah,
yes.
$100,000 20 years ago is a little bit different, but I'm glad.
I'd take $100,000.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And some guys will, especially if they've been in college for a few years. It's like, well, yeah, it's just time to go start my life. And if I can start my life with, $100,000 in the bank, $150,000 in the bank, and I'm going to play pro ball for a little bit, yeah, I'm going to give this my very best effort and see what happens. So I'm curious, yeah. But the big names we focus on because those are the ones, again, P.J. Morlando comes in, he's going to be an everyday starter. John Whittle saying Bo Hollins comes to school. By the way, Bo can pitch a little bit too. He's a left-handed pitcher, but he'd be the everyday first baseman. Yeah, are you looking at a Jack Caglione type? I don't know. I'm not going to put that on him. I don't know how good they pitch. Look, Carson Messina pitches and plays infield
and throws good heat too.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Getting both those guys would be pretty.
Yeah, that's why you get them in and you have fall ball. So you figure it out. Thanks for the phone call, Mike. Again, draft coming up in a couple of weeks' time. I guess Michael Haney is listening. Thank you. He might be in town
Michael.
for. He's in town a lot these days because Nashville Nights has started over at Steel Hands. But he says Fletch is so important it was even referenced in Ted Lasso. Yeah, I remember that. And
So it has expansive cultural influence.
Send us a clip. Fletch is great, dude. Fletch is great. It's not. I don't know. It's not slapsticky funny. It's not Vacation for Chevy Chase. It's not. I know Chevy Chase wasn't in Stripes, but it's not Stripes.
Would you consider the humor to be more subtle?
A lot of it is because there's also. This isn't giving it away because you'll know, but it's also it's a crime story too. Mm-hmm. Fletch is an investigative reporter.
Right.
So there's a crime story throughout. That's the story is that he's investigating criminal activity. It's just that it's really funny. But it's not slapstick funny. It's not
dialogue based humor.
Yeah, it's not what's the Kevin James mall cop? It's not
Paul Blart.
Yeah, it's not that. It's not bathroom humor. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's not what it is. It's not Ace Ventura. Let's put it that way. Is also it's not Ace Ventura.
All Jim Carrey stuff is slapstick. Yeah.
It's not Ace Ventura.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So if that helps.
That guides me in a good direction, or at least gives me a baseline expectation. I do like that kind of humor. It's very in my wheelhouse.
It's good. You got a few more you want to get to? I'm going to get to this Under Armour thing, but now all of a sudden the text line's blowing up with suggestions. Are we keeping a record of this, by the way? You got a running tally?
I do, yes.
Okay.
For ones that I have not seen.
Okay.
We'll go. Somebody gave me some underrated Mel Brooks films. High Anxiety silent movie.
Listen, again, I've seen all Mel Brooks movies multiple times, and all of them are highly recommended.
Got a Malibu's Most Wanted. I have not seen that, so we're definitely.
Wait, what's that?
Malibu's Most Wanted.
I haven't seen that. That's not Mel Brooks.
Wait a minute, that's not Mel Brooks. No, this is a different list. Yeah, I'm going down the list here.
That almost sounds like some other kind of film, but
actually, I think I have seen part of Malibu's Most Wanted, but I haven't seen all of it. I've seen clips.
Malibu's Most Wanted.
That's an early 2000s one, I believe.
All right. What else you got? I'll look that up.
So we will go Super Troopers. I have not seen all of Super Troopers. I have seen clips, but I have not seen all of Super Troopers. So we're putting that on the list as well. That one would require a rewatch because I don't remember enough to quote it or give you any significant scenes from that movie. So Super Troopers is going on there. This one from Trent. Trent says The Jerk is always worth a couple belly laughs. My mom has recommended that movie to me many times, and I've still yet to see it. So Trent, we're gonna put that one down too.
The Jerk. Again, Steve Martin movie. The Man with Two Brains is great. If you get into the later stuff, like I love Parenthood. That'll tug at your heartstrings too. Father of the Bride. Those are good ones.
There we go. Another vote for Beverly Hills Cop from Tony and Gilbert.
Again, almost any Eddie Murphy movie, up to a point anyway. Boomerang, underappreciated.
Got a phone call during the break. Someone was recommending Office Space. Classic. Has seen that
absolutely.
one. That one we had in our basketball
We have
locker
a clip on the station that runs from
it. Does, yeah. That one used to be in our basketball locker room. We had a TV.
That's one of my wife's favorites. She loves that movie.
And we, to this day, none of us on our basketball team knew how that copy of Office Space got in there. But the TV we watched film on for film session was obviously we had a DVD player and a random copy of Office Space.
Nice.
So we watched so much Office Space in a 2-year stretch that I was almost able to quote the whole thing.
That's a great movie. A
lot of flair.
All right, so we're giving Elijah, off day / summertime classic movie assignments and suggestions. So hit us up, 803-404-6100. Plenty more to do as the postgame show continues.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to that are causing some issues on the roadways this afternoon. We'll start with a few here in Richland County. One on Clemson Road between US 1 and 2 Notch Road and Rame Road in North Springs. It's causing some mild traffic backup, it looks like. We also have one on Riverwalk Way at Broad River Road and one on Trenham Road at Highway 12 near Forest Drive. In Lexington County, we have two to get to, one on I-26 westbound just after the St. Andrews Road exit 106, and lastly, one on Piney Grove Road at I-26.
Talking classic movies and what Elijah needs to see. There's a couple of these I might need to see. Malibu's Most Wanted. The premise sounds funny. It's 20 years old. I had not seen that one.
Okay, so it is what I think.
Where do we draw a line at classic? You know, because see, I'm old, so I go back like I'm thinking mostly these, 70s, 80s, early 90s.
See, I mean, this could count as classic now that if the movie itself is almost old enough to drink or is old enough to drink.
That's fair.
Then I think we can consider it classics.
That's fair.
Now, Malibu's Wanted was one, I think a few times, I remember like going on vacation and like my mom turning on like the TV if we're staying at a hotel in between stops. If we were going like long road trips, I remember a couple instances where that movie being on. That or Half Baked, Dave Chappelle movie. Because we'd get into these hotels, probably relatively late. So like on Comedy Central or something, which is one of the channels she would frequent, would always have like movies like that.
The thing is about watching movies like that on Comedy Central, even late at night, like you still got to edit a lot and like
a ton. Yeah.
The thing is, like commercial breaks on Comedy Central are like 8 minutes long.
No, you almost forget what you're watching at that point.
I mean, I know we have commercial breaks, and that's how we make money in our industry. And
ain't none of them that long though.
But like Comedy Central, I'm like, man, it's like like you watch as much movie as you do commercial break, So, but anyway, especially again late at night, they're like, well, you're not turning the channel. You can't.
Where else are you gonna go? You just opened that pint of ice cream, buddy, and you're gonna finish it.
You came here. The University of Maryland and Under Armour today announced a new extension of their apparel rights deal, 12 years, $98 million that UMD will be receiving from Under Armour. Kevin Plank, of course, played football at the University of Maryland, founded Under Armour a few years after that. And this deal also is going to include a separate kind of a deal, not really separate, but just as part of the new structure of collegiate athletics, it's going to include a name, image, likeness, like brand ambassador. And that person will be working with UMD athletes and Under Armour to allow Under Armour to exclusively pay those players, for social media posts or other obligations. And I threw out on Twitter today, I just wonder, like South Carolina has a deal with Under Armour that ends in 2026. I guess at probably around this time, at the end of the school year. That's when most things like that, that's how the calendar runs, right? And I don't know if South Carolina is going to re-up with Under Armour, or if you go shop, with Adidas or Nike, or I don't know. Does Puma do any college stuff?
Not that I know of. I don't think they have.
I don't know. I don't either. I don't think they do. I mean, Puma.
I know Russell has some.
Yeah, but they don't make shoes, right? So then you'd have to.
Yeah.
These things are jerseys. These things are typically all encompassing, and yeah, I know that's something that a lot of people have complained about, that Under Armour shoes aren't nearly as good as Nike or Adidas shoes, and I think Adidas has been making athletic wear for 100 years. I mean, it's a big German company.
That's no bonos.
So is Puma, for that matter. Nike's been making shoes now since the mid-'60s, and they've, been a thing since the mid-'70s. Under Armour started making shoes 5 or 6 years after they started making clothes. And I'm not sure the shoes have ever really caught on in this country. Now, I know Steph Curry wears Under Armour.
Malaysia Fulwiley
Malaysia
gets
Fulwiley got a deal.
She has plenty. Yeah.
And so, they're out there, but I'm just curious as to what that might look like. And would South Carolina be in line to get the same kind of deal that Under Armour's getting, or that Maryland's getting from Under Armour? I mean, that's...
If your Under Armour would be smart to provide that.
That's let's do that math. That's about $8 million a year. And I don't know. I don't have the terms in front of me as to what Carolina signed back in 2016, so I don't know how much they're currently making. It's not $8 million. And again, the bulk of that is in value. So everybody, y'all have seen the gear that the kids get to wear. It's not just the uniforms. I mean, as much of it, honestly, is sweatshirts and T-shirts and all, swag. Mm-hmm. It's been a while since I've been down there, but I remember when Chris Matlock was running things, down at Williams-Brice in the old equipment room, and I was amazed. I was like, dang, there's so much stuff. I had no idea.
These kids get to be billboards for these companies.
And so, what does that look like? But there's the point I was going to make more than anything is around $8 million a year. There's an interesting probably guideline for what a South Carolina might be in line for. UMD is a popular brand in a big conference in a big city. And if they could just get the basketball thing going again to any degree, then they'll be back where they want to be. Having a daughter go to Maryland, I've learned a lot about Maryland sports. And, Maryland football, dare I say, Elijah, understands its place. I do not believe that the University of Maryland is ever going to go all out to attempt to win a national football championship. They like that kind of, hey, if we can get to 8 wins consistently, maybe challenge every once in a while, but
you're happy.
Not a lot of illusions of attempting in the same season to beat, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, and Michigan State.
Because they haven't really gotten close in a lot of those.
But the same thing, and South Carolina, I think, when Steve Spurrier was here, South Carolina, you could certainly make a case that South Carolina did everything South Carolina was capable of doing, and the results showed it, right? Mm-hmm. So, and again, in a new SEC, is that about a ballpark number for where Carolina will be, and what kind of opportunities will you get to showcase your kids relative to what a Nike might bring in? Like, would Nike pay the same? I don't know. I'm asking rhetorically right now. I have no idea.
There's other factors too. I mean, it's like there's so many more Nike schools than Under Armour schools. Like, if we're just listing off apparel from which company has, schools representing them, Nike and Adidas have so many more schools representing them than maybe Under Armour or anybody else,
and Nike's even branched into the Jumpman now, the Jordan brand. So
if you're Under Armour, then do you keep your number limited to just a few schools, but maybe go all out
and really enhance them?
Yeah, because if you're Under Armour, think about it. You have the best women's basketball program in the country right here that you are you could have many brand ambassadors there, and with viewership of the entire sport just going up the way it has, and you potentially having a new face of the sport in Malaysia Fulwiley, and they're already making that investment. They've already made a really good investment in Malaysia. Then maybe funneling more money just into the select few schools you have, especially if you have a program like that, might be a better investment for that school in the long run. And if you're South Carolina, you can get more money from them because of the value it brings in for that company, considering they're not all over the place like Nike or Adidas.
One of the things, and Aaliyah Boston made a lot of money from Under Armour her last year of school. I think it was just under $1 million.
It's good money.
But as soon as she got to the pros, Adidas made her a better offer. And to your point, just to stick with women's basketball, you don't want to get jilted again if you're Under Armour. So how do you sweeten the pot ahead of time? I'm just kind of bringing these things up as talking points. I don't have a solution. I'm not here to offer one today. Mm-hmm. I'm really here just to say that, UMD has just signed this new extension, and that's about how much money they're going to get. And you feel like Carolina could be in a similar place.
And they lost Auburn. So the money that you were giving Auburn, you can maybe allocate to just going all in on just a handful of schools and programs.
But and again, I don't know. This is something we'll ask Coach Tanner one of the next times we have him on. how do you like shop yourself, if you will, next time around in a different landscape? Like you said, because of what Dawn's program is doing, it may depend on where Shane and Lamont have their programs. You know, this next school year, as you build toward that kind of negotiation point, will be very telling. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Dawn's team is going to kick ass. I don't know if they'll win another title.
I think that's a safe bet.
But I think they're going to be really...
Odds to kick ass are like minus 10,000.
I think they're going to be really good. But Shane needs to get back to a bowl, and if Lamont gets back to the tournament again, then you're stronger than you've been in a long time when it comes to this kind of negotiation. And at that point, you want Nike and Adidas coming in and you know, at least talking with you. You know, that'd be interesting to see where we go. More movie suggestions from the text line when the postgame show rolls on. 11 minutes in front of 5 o'clock on this Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back into the Postgame Show. Jay and Elijah with you. Get back around to some of the many suggestions you're throwing in for Elijah to watch. Classic movie suggestions, primarily comedies, I think we're going for, but we can throw in some drama. Again,
I love some suspense.
Godfather and Godfather 2. And you may as well throw in Godfather 3 while you're at it. Like I've given you the first major tip for watching Godfather 3. You've already heard it, but just to the audience, if you haven't seen it, if you have, you know what it is. But if you have not, this isn't a giveaway. You got to get over how Sofia Coppola is as an actress, which is unfortunately not good.
Not ideal.
Yeah, it's not good. It's just not good. And it's sad because, again, those of you who know, it was supposed to be Winona Ryder. That was who Francis Ford Coppola wanted for that particular role.
Love her.
And she was busy, and he was on a, time constraint, budgetary, time scale thing, and that couldn't work it out. And there's a lot of actresses that can do stuff, but he just said, well, I'll just get my daughter to do it.
I like how you worded that. There are a lot of actresses who can do stuff. So he went to an actress who cannot do stuff.
That's what I'm saying. He chose none of them. That's what's sad.
He could have had a long list.
He chose none of them. It's almost like she was standing there. Hey, read this.
You there?
Yeah. Read this. Anyway, so keep them coming. We'll come back around to that in just a second. First off, again, North Carolina scored 4 in the bottom of the 5th. No score through the 6th inning. We're now into the top of the 7th. Florida State leads North Carolina 7-5. Noles have 1 on, none out. Winner moves on to face Tennessee. Loser goes home. We do have some other College World Series news that I'll get to in the headlines coming up in just a little bit. And before some of those movie suggestions, don't want to neglect the fact that one of our biggest championships was awarded last night to the Boston Celtics, their 18th franchise NBA title. They easily got past the Dallas Mavericks in Boston last night. Final score 106-88. I'm not sure it was that close.
No, not at all. The spirit of that game was a 25-point game.
Yeah, I mean, it was 21 at halftime. Right?
Yeah, 21 at halftime after Peyton Pritchard hit yet another half-court buzzer beater.
Yeah.
That was the second of the series.
Like I told you, look, I like the NBA. I don't follow it nearly as closely as you do, but I don't the NBA. What is that? But in watching some of the game the other night, I told you I felt like Boston just said, you know what? To heck with it, man. We're not going all out to win this one tonight. Dallas came out on fire. Okay.
Luke Cornett got third quarter minutes.
Yeah.
Which should tell you all you need to.
Yeah, and they just said, screw it, man. We'll go home and win. And they were in. It was a wire-to-wire complete control last night.
Showed that was why they're the best team in the NBA.
What I like about them too. Listen, I know they got good players. You have to have really good players to win the NBA championship. But they don't have, in my opinion, they don't have a Giannis. They don't have someone. I don't know if they have someone that's as focal a player as Luka or the Joker.
Right. Yeah.
They don't have a KD. They don't have a LeBron. They don't have a Steph. What Brad Stevens and his crew have built is a really well-rounded team that goes about 8 deep. And there's not a ton of separation from 1 to 8, which is not the typical case in the NBA.
Especially not today when teams are so obsessed with just stacking super teams together.
And I feel, and I could be wrong, but I feel like that's one of the reasons that Brad moved into the front office. He knows what he's looking for, and he knows what it takes. He's a great basketball mind. But I think there's a lot of, dare I say, I don't want to say flash-in-the-pan teams. That's not fair because Steph and them won 4 titles, and they lost.
They were a dynasty.
They lost 2, right? So, LeBron lost as many as he's won. And he played, there was that stretch where it's like, well, LeBron is in the finals.
He went to 8 straight.
Yeah, like LeBron's in the finals, and I don't care who he's playing for. But this Boston team won 64 basketball games. They're really good.
Oh, that's one of the greatest teams on paper.
And they're most of those dudes are under contract for a few more seasons. I'm not predicting that they turn into a dynasty, but they might.
they have a really good blueprint on what winning a championship or how to win a championship in the modern NBA. While other teams are obsessed, like the Suns and Clippers, just obsessed. Lakers obsessed with stacking stars, getting star power.
Yeah.
All these all-stars. You win championships with players like Drew Holiday and Derek White.
Yeah.
I know Jaylen Brown got the MVP, but if I had a vote, it's a co-MVP between Derek White and Drew Holiday because their defense, their efficiency, and their ability to change the game in so many different ways won them that series and was the difference between those two teams.
Yeah. All right, we will get into more movie suggestions, headlines of the day, our conversation with John Whittle on Carolina baseball, all coming up.
And speaking of good coaching and championship decision-making, my friends at Columbia Secret for Weight Loss have done a fantastic job at helping me change my decision-making when it comes to the things I put in my body, what I eat, how I plan my meals, and how I'm able to not only lose the weight that I wanted to lose in a short amount of time, I surpassed it, and I'm able to maintain it. Paul Grant and Shaylin over at Columbia Secret for Weight Loss can do the exact same thing for you. They've done wonders for me, and a lot of it is with just great coaching, weekly meetings, and the ability to help you get back on track, establish great habits without the use of any shots, any pills, just great coaching. If you are interested in learning the secret of losing up to 1 pound of unhealthy fat per day and start your own success story and reach your own weight loss goals the same way I was able to, go ahead, give them a call, 803-824-4210, or hit them up at ColumbiaSecretForWeightLoss.com. Again, 803-824-4210. Results may vary. From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to you that are causing some issues on the roadways here in the Midlands, and we'll start with 3 of them here in Richland County. One's on South Beltline Boulevard at Rosewood Drive near Highway 16. Another one's on Riverwalk Way at Broad River Road. And another one's on Highway 16. That's over near Highway 48 at South Assembly Street in George Rogers Boulevard. All of those minor traffic backups as of now. In Lexington County, we only have one that's going to be over on Piney Grove Road at I-26.
It is 5 o'clock news time on this Tuesday. Welcome back in. It's also the final hour of the Postgame Show alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. We will start with the College World Series, a game underway right now, but that's not the breaking news. The breaking news is that due to impending weather, I'll read the release from the NCAA. Game 10 has been postponed to tomorrow, Wednesday, June 19 at 10 a.m. Central. Gates will open at 9. For those of you who are headed out there. No, that's the Florida-Kentucky game scheduled for tonight. That game has been moved until tomorrow. They still believe that Tennessee versus the winner of the current game will take place roughly on time. They now say 2 p.m. Central, 3 o'clock Eastern, so about an hour delay. And game 12, they think will still start at approximately 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central Time. How bad is this weather? What does it do, overnight? If it doesn't rain at all, I'm Nick Mingione and Kevin O'Sullivan. I am hacked.
You're throwing hands on somebody.
Off.
Somebody. I'm going to be a recipient.
They better. I mean, and look, I know that meteorology is really good these days, and they can figure this kind of thing out. But you better darn well know that it's going to really come wallop Omaha, Nebraska here in a little bit to postpone a game this far out. So, again, I'm not here to question it directly, but, and I know you don't want to get guys, all ready to go or play 1 inning or 2 innings and then you lose your starter. So there's that part of it, too. I know it's a lose-lose situation in a lot of ways, and you'd rather err on some side of caution. I get it. But when you told me that a little bit ago, Elijah, I was like, man, the game's not even supposed to be played for another almost 3 hours. Like but maybe 5 hours out, they just know, oh, yeah, look at that. And I haven't looked at a radar to see what's, in central Nebraska moving their way right now. But
and the one on, what was that, Saturday night turned into Sunday morning that was a monster of a storm. Those clouds looked disgusting.
And they waited 3 hours to start that game, right? Over 3 hours.
As long as they were allowed to. Yeah. They were not allowed to start any game past 11 local time.
So there will not be College World Series action tonight, but as we speak, Florida State leads North Carolina 7-5, bottom 7. North Carolina is the home team today, so they're hitting right now. The bottom half just started, and superstar Vance Honeycutt is at the plate as we speak. So no on, no out as North Carolina tries to come back and get this one done. Again, the winner will face Tennessee. The loser moves on. Last night at the College World Series, Ryan Prager of Texas A&M tossed an absolute gem, took a no-hitter into the 7th inning last night, but could not hold it. Kentucky ended up with 4 hits on the night after that, but A&M won the game rather comfortably by a final of 5-1. And yesterday around this time, Florida was completing their victory over NC State. So, again, Florida has moved on. State has gone home. And Honeycutt just got a hit, by the way, so he is on base. 1 on, no out, as North Carolina tries to come back in this all-ACC affair.
Going to make it interesting.
And this isn't like any kind of I'm just some dude, right? This isn't a brag, but one of these teams is going to lose today. Guaranteed.
Hot take.
And that's going to be the first 3 teams eliminated all out of the ACC.
Greg Sankey somewhere in Omaha shirtless.
That's what you said yesterday, too. At least a tank top, right?
Yeah, at least getting rid of the sleeves.
Yeah. Maybe he's got like one of those like Pat McAfee does and rip the sleeves off.
So maybe in celebration, ripped him off,
Something like that. We'll see. Speaking of pitching gems, last night in Atlanta, we almost predicted this. We talked about Reese Olson of the Tigers having a heck of an ERA and a really good K to walk ratio, but he was like 1-8, but with like a 3.6 ERA. Last night, we said he's in the hell spot. The Tigers don't score runs for him. Last night, he was shutting out the Braves through 7. The Braves won 2-1. Ozzie Albies.
That poor guy, man.
Ozzie Albies hit a home run in the bottom of the 8th, and the Braves held on in the 9th and won 2-1. If I'm Reese Olson, I'm getting like some kind of hazard pay. Like, this isn't fair. I am. But you know what's going to happen? I'm serious about this.
They're going to use it in a contract negotiation against him.
No, he's going to get traded. You watch. He gets traded.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, he'll be one of those starting pitchers that a team comes for because Detroit has a losing record, and it'll be like, you know what?
And they're in the American League where there's a lot of teams with winning records. You put them in the National League, they're contending for a wild card spot.
Reese Olson, you watch. Prediction number 2 on here. Last night I said this is going to be one of those games, and it was. Today I predict Reese Olson gets traded
to the Braves. Question mark?
Yeah, wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be awesome if like tomorrow they announce that? Hey, you know what? You just stay with us, bud.
Man, you kicked a lot of ass yesterday. We're going to ask that you just come across the hall and you join us.
Braves should just give up some draft picks. Here, Detroit, how many y'all want? Take 5. You can have our 2nd through 6th round picks.
Detroit's like, we already hoard all types of draft picks.
Enjoy.
That's funny.
Give them the 1st round pick.
Might as well.
I don't care.
Kids dealing.
Draft picks don't mean as much in baseball, though, like in football.
No, not the same. Draft capital is nowhere near the same, unless you get like first. Like
if you get like a top 10 pick, you might use that. But if you get a top 10 pick in baseball, you're using it.
Minor league prospects are a little more valuable.
Yeah. Oh man, Honeycutt got thrown out big time. That was a terrible idea. Ugh, I wasn't even close. Sorry, but
bad idea to get caught.
Yeah,
don't
get. You can't get caught stealing right now. You can't do that. The tying runs at the plate. You need that run.
Silly.
That's a bad call. All right. Anyway, Braves will go at it again tonight. By the way, with Detroit, and I'm getting the pitching matchup for you right now. Casey Mize going for Detroit. He is 1-4 with a 4.43.
Former Auburn Tiger.
That's right. And young rookie Spencer Schwellenbach is 0-2 with a 6.32. The Braves they're keeping him in that 5th spot, man. They're gonna ride or die for a little bit and try to get this kid some big league innings and see what they can do. Maybe,
might as well see what you got.
Yeah, just go ahead and try to outslug Detroit tonight. Continuing with our integrated media headlines of the day, it has been announced by the French Soccer Federation that Kylian Mbappe, the world's best player, will miss their next game against the Netherlands. This is a big deal game in the European Championships.
One of their biggest tests that they're going to have.
Border rivals, and the Netherlands is really good. But Kylian Mbappe broke his nose in yesterday's game with Austria. And now he didn't just break it, man. I mean, you saw it, and it was – I told Elijah I saw it happen. And right after it happened, I mean, blood everywhere. I mean, his jersey, like the sweat plus the blood, it was pink. It was kind of weird. I mean, it was weird.
Oh, heavens, yeah.
He was bleeding, dude. It's broke. Like, yeah.
Like Derek White's tooth from the finals last night.
The good news is he won't.
He broke that.
Yeah.
It's gross.
Rome's reference was kind of interesting on that. But he will have a custom-made mask. He will not require surgery. While France is very excited about the not requiring surgery thing, let me tell you who's more excited, Real Madrid. Because, again, they're getting ready to start paying this dude $1 million a week.
Getting big boy money.
Yeah, you heard me right, by the way. $1 million a week.
He'll make more than Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, you and I were talking about it. I mean, this has to vault him into like the only guys that are making more are going to be a couple of NBA dudes, right?
Probably a few. Well, Giannis is at, for 24-25 season, he'll be making $48.7 million. So
almost $1 million a week.
Let's see. There's a few that I'm very curious about.
Like the Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow deals, like, have a full value. Like Trevor Lawrence's deal is like $55 a year, but it doesn't pay him $55 a year.
And it's not all guaranteed.
Right.
The guaranteed money
like the
is
total
really
package could be that, but like Mbappe is going to get $1 million a week, plus whatever he makes from Nike and whatever other sources of income. That's just his soccer salary, $1 million a week.
Just base.
Yeah, he's good though, but now he's got a broken nose and has to miss a really big game. Speaking of guys that are really good, the U.S. golf team for the Olympics has been announced. And
loaded.
Dude.
It's pretty good.
Scotty Scheffler, multiple majors. Colin Morikawa, multiple majors. Xander Schauffele just won his first major. And Wyndham Clark. 6 major titles between them. And they will represent the United States at the Olympics. That is all right.
I like your chances.
Yeah. I haven't seen everybody else's, but Schauffele did have a gold in the last Olympics, so he's been there. So that's kind of cool. So we'll see. But that's a pretty good golf team. Yeah, I'll take that.
Back to the last note, Steph Curry is the closest to $1 million a week in the NBA, $55.7 million.
Okay, so and Steph, I know some people believe him. I don't know if there is a current right now, like consensus, that's the best player in basketball. I think we're at a point now where LeBron is no longer that. Steph is getting older. Is it? Then you could make a case for Joker. You can make a case for Luka. You can make a case for Giannis. I'm not sure you're making the case for KD anymore.
No, not anymore.
I like where Devin Booker is headed, but he's not that.
No, not in that tier.
Who am I missing? I'm probably not missing anybody. I think that's about it.
Joel Embiid, because he's got an MVP.
Yeah.
He's finished MVP, top of MVP voting, like top 3 for 4-5 years.
He gets banged up every now and then.
Getting a full season out of him.
Yeah, it's hard. So, I
makes $51 million. Him and Nikola Jokic both.
Yeah, and they're worth it. Jokic is he's so fantastic.
Arguably the best passer in the history of the game.
Yeah, for a big, he's just so fun to watch. But anyway, there you go. So, good luck to Kylian Mbappe. Good luck to the American golf team. And with that, that's our Integrated Media headlines of the day, brought to you by Integrated Media. 803-948-8327 for all your home entertainment needs, all your home security needs. Yes, you heard me right. All blended into one place. You can even control those things from an app on your phone or your tablet, indoors, outdoors, one room, whole house, no job too big or small. Maybe you've got like one of those video doorbells lying around and you're like, I don't know how to do this. I know they have directions, but I want to do it right once. Call Integrated Media. They'll come do it for you. Or you want to put those around the whole house, they'll do it for you. No job too big, no job too small. 803-948-8327, our very good friends at Integrated Media. Speaking of very good friends, John Whittle is one of those. He joined Elijah and me earlier talking about what South Carolina's roster management could look like over the next month as new coach Paul Mainieri takes the reins of Carolina baseball. We'll hear what John had to say when the postgame show continues. It's going to be in the 90s all week, y'all. It's going to approach 100 over the weekend. I hope your air conditioning system is keeping you and your family nice and comfortable. If you're not sure when you've last had it checked out, or if you know it's old, now is a great time to get in touch with our good friends at AAA Heating and Air. Roy and Dana Finley and their crew ready to help you out for a long time to come. Check this out. You get guaranteed financing, okay? There's number one. 2, 12 months, no payments or interest if you buy in 2024. 3, $1,500 system buyback rebate. 4, 15-year parts and labor guarantee if anything goes wrong. I mean, has there ever been a better time for you and your family to know that you're going to be comfortable for many years to come? They've done great work at my house, Bill Gunners and many others. 803-677-1500. Call AAAtoday.com. Stay comfortable with AAA Heating and Air. Welcome back into the Postgame Show on this Tuesday afternoon. Jay, Elijah, hanging out with you. College World Series. And you know what? They might have done a good thing, man, because
you see those clouds.
They are showing a shot right now behind the stadium, like with the, behind the plate area, and it is dark. And out there, it is, 4:15, 4:18 local time. So, yeah, they've probably done a good thing. They need to get this one in now. 7-5, top 8. FSU hitting 1 on, 2 out. Again, loser goes home. Winner will see Tennessee sometime tomorrow. Speaking of college baseball, our good friend John Whittle joined Elijah and me in our opening hour today. We talked a lot about what's going on around Coach Maneri's new team and a lot of roster management. But we started with John's quick take on this coaching staff getting it going right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an awesome hire. I think you've got a great staff coming in. John Henry's young guy, sharp, really bright. I think it'll be a really good blend of staff with Monty knowing the state so well, Terry Rooney being an incredible recruiter. I thumbs up on the staff for sure. Paul Maneri will get back into town. I guess it was almost exactly a week ago, 4:00 last Tuesday, when his contract was approved, and he's been in town for about 24 hours or so since then. But he'll be back in town tonight for a while, and I think he's going to meet with a few players and get ready to rock and roll. So I know that Terry and Monty are out on the road recruiting as we speak. Monty's headed out to California, and Terry up to Cape Cod, and they're getting this show going.
Speaking of South Carolina and Monty Lee, I know P.J. Morlando was one of many players, whether they were signees or current roster guys, who threw their support behind Monty, and many have since obviously circled around in support of Coach Maneri. But let's start with P.J. Morlando. I did see that he was mocked in the first round of Perfect Games MLB draft. Again, just a mock draft, John, as you know. But I know you know this kid. The slot value, which, again, is written in pencil, was around $2.9 million. So take us into where you believe P.J. Morlando and his family are right now with some big decisions looming.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I don't know exactly what his signing bonus number is. That's not something that's really ever publicly discussed, even if I know it. But I don't know what it is. What I do know is that they feel really good about Monty Lee and Paul Maneri. And if there were any questions, they might set a number and potentially back off of it, or set a lower number and it may be flexible. But they feel so good about Paul Maneri and Monty Lee especially that I know that they're going to set a high number. I know that they're going to stick to it. And if they don't get it, then, PJ will come to school for 2 years. There's several things that work in South Carolina's favor, and one of them is that he's an older guy, so he'll be 21 in 2 years, so he doesn't have to be a 3-year college guy. He can be a 2-year college guy and be draft eligible then. So, there are a lot of factors that play into it. Obviously, the financial aspect is going to be the biggest part of it, but that's kind of where things are right now. There's about a month until draft gets here, and some things are still being sorted out. As we know, they got the draft combine out there in Arizona right now, and so there's some moving and shaking happening as we speak.
John, at Paul's press conference the other day, noticed a lot of really good current player turnout, with one of those players being Cole Messina. But what do you think the outlook is, maybe on terms of who's on the roster right now, and what type of retention do you think South Carolina is going to have now that Paul's been introduced and the staff is kind of set in place?
Yeah, I think roster retention is going to be good. I haven't heard of anybody who played a significant role this past season who's going to enter the portal. I do think there are probably a few pitchers who haven't gone in yet that probably will. One went in today. Drake Quinn didn't pitch much last year, but there are a few older guys who weren't able to carve out much of a role this past season who are probably going to try their hand at a different place. But yeah, I do think that everybody's pretty settled in terms of, being comfortable with the staff. You never know until that portal actually closes. There's plenty of time between now and July 2nd when the portal actually shuts. So we'll kind of see, but there's nothing that I'm really monitoring right now.
John, we did, I don't know if it's been officially announced by the school as of yet, but we did see news this week that Dalton Mashore will transfer into South Carolina from St. Mary's out west, a kid who hit a pretty good number of home runs last year and is a good center fielder. What more do you know about him, and do you see him slotting straight in as the everyday guy?
I love this kid because he has no social media anywhere. Like, how hard is that for guys nowadays, for college students nowadays to no Instagram, no Twitter, no nothing like that. Just rocking and rolling as he goes about his day. But that's one of the first things I noticed about him. But I got to chat with him a little bit earlier this week. He's got a little bit of a relationship with Monty. I guess his dad has a relationship with Monty and some people he knows through his dad who played a few years in the big leagues, Damon Mayshore. So there's a lot of trust there. He visited South Carolina and Miami's throwing around a lot of dollars this off season, by the way, and he ended up deciding he wanted to be at South Carolina to play in the best baseball conference there is in the country, but he's very dynamic as an athlete, can hit for some power, can steal some bases, really a good pickup, and really what you're looking for in a center fielder. He can really play defense, but he can also produce some for you as well.
How aggressive, I know we talked about, Mayshore coming in right now, but how aggressive do you think this Gamecock team is going to be in the transfer portal this year, especially if they are going to retain a lot of that talent, and exactly maybe what names have you may have heard that they might be interested in right now?
They're not really going to be that aggressive in terms of quantity. They've got some JUCOs here lately. They got a kid named Caden Gaskin who's going to come in, and he's versatile, but he probably slots in at second base for South Carolina. He played in the outfield some. He played a little bit of shortstop at one point in his career, but he's a second baseman for South Carolina. High on base percentage guy, high batting average, tons of stolen bases, a little bit of power, but mainly a speed and average guy. So you got him coming out of the JUCO ranks, and they've got a first baseman from the JUCO rank committed as well. And I talked to him earlier this morning, and he said, I don't want to be publicized yet. I want to be sure I can get into school first and be sure everything's ready to go. I don't want my name out there, so I'll respect that for him. But a left-handed hitter, a little bit of power, but low strikeout, high batting average, really good defensively. It'll be a nice piece for South Carolina to have for sure. But so all of that being said, there's not a whole lot of work to be done from the transfer portal. I think they're going to get two guys on the left side of the infield, somebody who can play short, somebody who can play third, and let them kind of battle it out with the guys who are returning. And they'll probably take one or maybe two more hitters, regardless of position, just find the best bat that they can and rock with it. I think you're going to see Thomas McCoy catching some this coming season, spending a lot of time behind the plate. Wouldn't surprise me a bit if they got a catcher from the portal, especially a defensive guy if they can find the right one out there. But I think they might add about 3 or 4 guys. I would say 4. And kind of go from there with a couple of them being left side of the infield players and maybe one more pitcher, maybe 2 at the absolute most, but they don't really see a whole lot of need from a pitching standpoint.
John, real quick, I got less than a minute, so I'll be fast, and you don't have to go over these guys, but I know Carson Messina, Dalton Wentz, Bo Hollins are Gamecock signees that have also been invited to the Combine. We talked about Morlando, but with those 3, Messina, Wentz, Hollins, what do you feel like their prospects are of coming to school?
Well, Dalton has asked out of his NLI, so he's not coming to South Carolina anymore. So he's out. I think he's probably going to end up signing with Virginia or going to play pro ball. But with Carson and Bo, I think North Carolina would have a better chance of landing Bo Hollins. He'll be right there in the thick of the competition there at first base. I think he's got a chance to be the opening day starter at first base, but he's obviously got some bloodlines and some professional pedigree. Both of those guys are very much draft risks.
Yeah, John Whittle, the postgame show rolls on. Good stuff from John. Sorry, was I supposed to go there? That was part of the recorded part.
I forgot to cut that part out.
That's okay.
So
that's okay.
Now, I heard your voice again before you started speaking. I was like, wait a minute.
It's interesting stuff on a couple of those guys. And as he said there, here's a high school kid, Bo Hollins, that may be ready to come in and be the everyday first baseman. PJ Morlando, should he come, you figure he slots right into the starting lineup as well. So, this next month tells us a lot about what this ball club's going to look like, no question. But the draft is going to have a lot of impact. Oh, yeah. And there's several guys, both active players, guys like Jerzenbeck, Jones, that are out at the draft combine. Cole Messina's going pro. I'll be really surprised if he does not. A solid hitting catcher. If he doesn't, he doesn't. That's great. More power to you if he chooses. But it certainly feels, from those conversations that we've had on and off air, like Cole Messina's going to go. Do you get his brother to come in and pitch and play? Who knows? We'll see.
But would be surprised.
Right.
Nonetheless. Not impossible.
Drive around the SEC on the other side of the break. Some bad news. Kind of bummer news in SEC, Power 5 football matchups. We'll tell you about it and then try to figure out why as the postgame show continues. I love telling you about integrated media. I have for many, many years. And one of the main reasons I love telling you about it is because they have provided me and my family with years and years and years of happiness and home entertainment. That's why I am so comfortable. People ask me sometimes, Jay, what's that company you talk about with your home theater? Do you use them, or you just talk about man, come by the house one day. I'll be more than happy to show you how they have changed my life. Whether you need one room done, you like your setup for your home theater system, you need the latest in equipment, you want to start from the ground up, you're building, you're remodeling, call the crew at Integrated Media. They come to you, 803-948-8327. Indoors, outdoors, one room, whole house, security systems, lighting, so much more. I'm telling you, I couldn't live without them. I don't know how I did, but now I don't have to worry about it. And if you call them up and get it done, you'll feel the same way I do. My good friends at Integrated Media.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell with a few accidents to get to you that are causing some issues here in Richland County. All of them here in Richland County. We got one on Dutch Fork Road, Highway 76 at US 176 and Broad River Road. That one's recently been reported. We also have one on Highway 16 near Highway 48 and South Assembly Street and George Rogers Boulevard. Got one on South Beltline Boulevard at Rosewood Drive near Highway 16. One just now reported on Turkey Farm Road near Wilson Boulevard. One on 176 near Broad River Road and I-20. And lastly, we have an accident on US 378 at Pineview Road near Hallbrook Drive, causing some mild traffic delay.
It is Drive Around the SEC time on this Tuesday. Welcome back in. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you. We start with some football news. The first part of this is kind of a bummer, but the second part / reasoning gets us into something that I find very intriguing. So let me not hold you in any further suspense. The unfortunate part, Ole Miss and Southern California have announced that their home-and-home football series, which was going to begin in 25 in L.A. and then a return to Oxford in 26, has been canceled. A lot of people are saying Lincoln Riley has ducked Lane Kiffin and Lincoln wants out of the deal. Apparently that is not the case. This was a mutual decision, and here's where the intrigue comes in. So I'm not going to sit here and crap all over Lincoln Riley the way some people have without – and look, it's Twitter, so they don't know what the heck they're talking about half the time anyway. Recently, Keith Carter, the athletics director at Ole Miss, was speaking at a summertime, booster event like a lot of schools do. Carolina's got them, the welcome home tour and such. And Keith was talking about just, scheduling in the future and what that was going to look like. And the subject of a 9-game conference schedule, Southeastern Conference schedule, came up. And this was his reply, quote, "I think that's going to happen. I think you're seeing some of these more marquee matchups coming off the books because of that. If you look at Southern Cal, they're going into the Big Ten and they're playing 9 conference games now. I think that's probably in our future too. We're actually a little bit on hold from a scheduling perspective right now until we know what the SEC schedule is going to look like moving forward." Let me pause. First, yes, please.
Don't tease me.
That said, you should keep this. In my opinion, you should keep this. Now, I know you don't want to lose, but here's the thing. In 25, Mississippi had 4 non-cons: Citadel, Wake, Tulane, Southern Cal. Now no Southern Cal. In 26, again, with Southern Cal, they also had Charlotte, Georgia State, and Eastern Kentucky. Again, Wake Forest, I'll give you. The rest, Tulane, okay, Tulane's been good of late, but where'd their coach go? Arizona?
Willie Fritz went to Houston.
Houston, sorry.
Conference.
Yeah.
So you're not as far off as you normally would be.
But otherwise, and I don't like, y'all know that, so I'm not really going to get into that part of the equation. Y'all know I don't like these kind of schedules. I don't like these gimme games.
It's weak.
It is. I don't care who plays them. I don't like them with Carolina. I don't like them with Clemson, Georgia, you name it. I don't like them. I wish we had a rule that said you had to play the Power 5 and then you had like one group of 5 game. Keep the Southern Cal game. Now, I know, too, that a lot of people in the Southeastern Conference especially want to see what this year looks like in terms of an 8-game schedule with the mandated Power 5 non-con, one of them. And again, in this article I was reading, they make the point that in 25, Wake Forest satisfies the P5 requirement, now P4 requirement that the SEC has in terms of scheduling. And again, Wake is good. They're not. You know, Ole Miss should beat Wake Forest, right? Well, although by 25, sure. I don't know.
Dave Clawson's got a good offense going.
He does, and I'm
very innovative.
I'm pretty convinced that the next head coach at the University of Florida's name is Lane Kiffin. So we'll see, and that might happen by 2025.
Yeah, Billy's got to navigate through some pretty treacherous waters this year.
Now that's just my take, but Keith Carter going public. I mean, they just got back from Destin, and while no decisions were made on anything in terms of an official future scheduling model, here's an AD willing to go public. And even if these listen, and I'm not cracking on our business, but it used to be that events like that were somewhat like semi-private at least, and things leak out on a message board or something like that. Now, you got cameras everywhere, and it's fine. I'm not dogging it. That's what I'm saying. That's not bold. He's not stupid. He knows that that's going to immediately get out. Like, yeah, I think we're heading to 9 games. And I think we are too, but I hope so. But there's somebody who's, without verifying it, I guess, Elijah, is at least willing to say, yeah, and so we need to see what it looks like. But he's also saying, and here's what I don't like, so we got to schedule down the rest of the way. Yeah, and I hate that. I just, and if I'm television, Fox, Disney, CBS, NBC Universal, I'm saying to my new conference football partners, like, hey, we want games that people want to watch. I mean, with all due respect, okay? Nobody, and I'll say it here too, so that I'm not like just trying to, because I'm doing, well, what about again, I don't run anything at South Carolina football, okay?
Right.
I went to school there, and I work at their flagship station, all right? And I support them, yes. I don't want Carolina to play Akron, and I sure as hell don't want Carolina to play anybody out of the Southern Conference. Sorry to all my Southern Conference friends. I love you all. I have friends that went to each of the Southern Conference schools in the state of South Carolina. Multiple friends at all of them. Citadel, Wofford, Furman. Love all of you. Don't want you on the football schedule. Sorry, don't. Spring game, not the football schedule. Nobody wants to watch that.
Not entertaining television.
How many of you have been to those games? There's 15,000 empty seats, man. That's bad business. Is it a virtually guaranteed win? Okay.
Sure, for what that's worth.
What's that worth to you?
And then if you lose,
yeah,
it's devastating.
I just don't like it. I don't like it. But anyway, so are we going to 9 games, Elijah? I hope so.
I hope so. That certainly seems like that's a step in the right direction.
And announce it. Just go ahead and tell us. Just go ahead and do it. Hell, again, play 10.
Because then, know what you don't have to do? You don't have to worry about losing some of the fabric of what makes SEC football SEC football.
Right.
Like, you can have more guaranteed games every year. You could promise South Carolina that you're getting to play at least one of Georgia, Florida, Tennessee every year, instead of going 2 straight years without having them on the schedule at all.
It's terrible.
Which is horrific.
It's terrible.
Insanely dumb. But you can do with 9 or 10 games. You can virtually guarantee it that you're getting one of them. And you may not get all of them every year, but you're not going to go empty on those 3 schools that you've played every year since you've been a member of the league.
Yeah, and I don't like the defeatist attitude of, it's just a greater chance to lose. Or, but what if you win? I mean, you got to go play the game. I just, and again, are you satisfying the television partners the way in the best possible way? So I get it. Let's see if a 3-loss. How many 3-loss teams get into a 12-school playoff? And we know this playoff's about to go to 14. It should go ahead and go to 16. But this mamby-pamby. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Ole Miss, Southern Cal, that had some legs, some juice, as the kids say. Especially if Lane is still there, because Lincoln Riley's not leaving. They'll be fine. They'll
keep him around.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. But this is a bummer. I saw this today. I was like, oh man,
because that'd have been really fun home.
And they announced it like 5 years ago or something. It's been on the
Like
books.
a lot of these non-conference
Yeah, it's been on the books for a while. So, actually, I look at here. May 2020 is when they May 2020. So 4 years ago.
Boo.
Yeah. One other note in the drive around the SEC, Vanderbilt baseball gets one of the best players from around here, Cody Croft from USC Upstate, into the portal and now headed to Vanderbilt. This past season, a 350 batting average, 20 home runs, 67 driven in, and an OPS of 1.123. You and I were talking off air about this pickup. Vandy needs a little more pop in the lineup, and here's a kid who hit 20 home runs.
They've been lacking it for a couple of years now. It's been a couple of years. They've been towards the bottom in home runs in the SEC.
Yeah, so nice get. Congratulations to Cody going to one of the best programs in the Southeastern Conference. That's the drive around the SEC, brought to you by Herndon Chevy, your hometown Chevy dealer. Save $20,000 on new Silverados. Together, let's drive. Come back on the other side, a few more movie suggestions, and together, well, that's you plus Elijah, will try to make me look foolish again, and yeah, odds are not in my favor.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm doing my best, man.
Hey, we got some bangers today.
All right, we'll see what happens on the other side. Be right back. Welcome back into the Postgame Show. Final few minutes on this Tuesday. We're not here tomorrow. Back with you on Thursday from the Old Mill Brew Pub. Fun place to be in Lexington, South Carolina. 3 to 6 on Thursday. We'll see you out there. Florida State now up 9-5. A couple of solo shots in the top half. So the Noles are up 9-5. North Carolina hitting in the bottom of the ninth. Has one on, no out. So still a chance. Loser goes home. Winner will see Tennessee tomorrow. Before we get me quizzed, I want to send a special shout out to my buddy Dakota Watson. Y'all remember Dakota used to be our morning show intern here many years ago with Tim and Bill. Dakota thought so highly of some of us around here that he brought Bill Gunner and me back into the fold now that Dakota, is at Gamecocks Plus working with the university. They won an Emmy for their Darius Rush special that they did last year. Dakota and Brent and their crew are great. Y'all need to subscribe to Gamecocks Plus and watch what they're doing. Thank God they hadn't booted Gunner and me out yet. As I was just saying on Twitter, we're not going to help them win awards. They can do that on their own. But we know we're working with some fantastic people. And I was thrilled to learn that this morning when we were doing our latest TV shoot. They won an Emmy. And I just want to give Dakota and Brent and that whole crew down there,
That's fantastic.
2 massive thumbs up, big fist bump. I mean, and so much more. Y'all really deserve it. You're great at what you do. And again, subscribe to Gamecocks Plus if you don't already. If you're a Gamecock Club member, you can get it. Just find it. It's an app. You can get it on your Roku, your Apple TV, on your phone. Good stuff, man. But I'm really thrilled for them. That's a big deal.
That's a
huge
big
deal. Yeah.
So they won a championship, and you guys are like Luke Cornett on the bench. You got to come in garbage time.
I think we're more like not even that. I think we're like the people that get sprayed with the champagne because we got to sit near the celebration.
You're the locker room attendant.
Yeah. That's basically what Gunner and I are.
That's hanging out there in a poncho.
But I'm thrilled for him. So well done, boys and girls. Lots of great people down there, man. We've had fun doing that and looking forward to doing some more. So way to go to the folks at Gamecocks Plus. All right. Let's see if I can win an award today. What you got? Again, I'm here for the music.
An award in our game called Name the School of the Donor. We got to match schools and donors here. This is part 2. We did part 1 yesterday, but we got some better ones today.
I don't know what that means, but we'll see. Better. That's a relative term.
You're going to learn something.
Okay.
Chris Bickel, CEO of WellHive, which is a patient care software company based in Florida. His $20 million donation to this football program was not only the largest in school history, but he requested the school name to be the official, he requested that the name of the official head coaching title be named after him. So for this school, the head coach is not just the head coach of this school, but it's the Chris Bickel 97 head football coach. Now, is this school Pitt, West Virginia, or Syracuse? Speaking of naming rights, this is a school that sold their naming rights to their head coaching position.
Syracuse.
He guesses Syracuse. It is not Syracuse.
Dang it.
The Chris Bickel 97 head football coach title belongs to Pat Narduzzi at Pitt. So if you go, I didn't believe it. So when I went to Pitt's athletic department website to pull up Pat Narduzzi's page, he is indeed the Chris Bickel 97 head football coach.
It's a nice gift. It's weird, but it's a nice gift.
It's weird to request that.
Yeah.
It is very weird to request that.
But that's cool.
All right, number 2, David B. Miller. David B. Miller is the co-founder of NCAP Investments, private equity firm. Gave this school its largest donation in its 108-year history in 2019 and was inducted into the Rocky Mountain Oil and Gas Hall of Fame in 2014. Is David B. Miller a donor of Texas A&M, SMU, or Texas?
Dang. See, when you said Rocky Mountains, I was like, well, this will be easy. Colorado. Texas, A&M, or SMU? Largest gift in school history?
At the time.
How much was it?
Let's
20 million, you said? Or did you say an amount?
I did not say that.
Okay. Then you know what? SMU.
And for once, Jay's on the board. has correctly guessed the school.
That was a donor. I think that was a quality educated guess, if only because SMU is significantly smaller. Lots of money.
Yes.
But I figure like somebody's giving a lot of money to Texas or A&M, even though I don't know the amount. So, all right.
There's a couple of good ones we'll save. We'll save for another date.
So I was 1 for 2 today.
You are 1 for 2. Now, can you get this one? This is the bonus.
Oh.
You may have heard of this person. Garth Brooks. Jams out a lot. Has performed a couple of fundraisers for this school. A school that not only he attended, but he was a javelin thrower on the track and field team. His daughter, in 2010, was the goalie for the soccer team. Is it Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, or Texas A&M?
Oklahoma State.
That is correct.
Yeah,
you are 2 of 3 today.
I knew that one too. Oklahoma State. I knew he went to Oklahoma State. Yeah.
Garth Brooks, big-time Oklahoma State donor.
Yeah. All right, we're off tomorrow. By the way, FSU just beat North Carolina 9-5, so FSU versus Tennessee tomorrow at some time. We'll see y'all Thursday. Old Mill Brew Pub. Come see us.